the power and the impact that our routines have in our lives. You must ask yourself this question: have my routines been helping or disturbing my love life? You must ask yourself, you must think and reflect about this. When I speak about routine, I'm talking about more than 90% of what we do daily. We all have routines. The human being is a being of routine. You always follow a routine. So your life is a result of your routines, because more than 90% of what you do in a day is routine. So if you want to change your life, you change your routines. It's easier said than done, because the word routine means that you are intertwined with a way of thinking that you not even notice what you are thinking about. It has become your nature that you not even think about, that you don't realize you are doing it, but that is producing fruits. So the Word of God calls us to consider our ways. There's a biblical book called Haggai. The right at the start, God proposes the following question: consider your ways. Consider your ways, which means look at the ways you have been choosing, how you've been behaving. See if that is working for you. God calls us to think, and this is what you, me, we all must think about, what our routines have been doing for our love lives, whether you are single or married. Have it been helping or disturbing? That's a biblical text, very interesting one. They speaks about a radical change of routine. Now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate of the city, and they said to one another, "Why are we sitting here until we die? If we say we will enter the city, the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we die also. Now therefore, come, let us surrender to the army of the Syrians. If they keep us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall only die." Which means they were in a dilemma. They were leprous. They could not socialize with others because the leprous people were placed on separate sites from the normal, healthy population, and they were by the gates of the city. There were walls surrounding the city, but the enemy, the army of the enemies of the Syrians, had besieged the city. This strategy of war that the army is encamped around the city, impeding anyone to go in or to go out, and once the food is over, they will surrender and there's no bloodbath, and they win the war as a consequence. Then the lepers were in between the both, the city inside and the population afraid, and the Syrians outside. And at some point, one of these 4 leprous men said, "If we stay here as we are, we will die. If we enter the city, the food will run out, and we will also die. What is the only option that is left for us? Let's go to the camp of the enemies." Was an option, a terrible one. But they thought, what if they spare our lives? If they receive us and give us food and shelter? So we went to save our lives. And if they kill us, we are already about to die anyway. So let's take the risk. So they understood that if they didn't do anything differently from what they have been doing so far, there wouldn't be a change. And it is a beautiful story. If you read chapter 7 in its entirety from 2 Kings, you see that when they arrived at the camp of the Syrians, on the night before, God had already performed a miracle. He sent a confusion and action in the enemy lines that caused the enemies to flee, and they left all the spoils behind. Can you imagine the 4 lepers arriving there and finding food in abundance, clothes, water, and they went fully into that. Why? Because they left their routine that they were stuck into. And this teaches us precious lessons. The problem with routine is that sometimes we expect this moment here. They reached a point where they were about to die out of starvation to leave the place where they were. And there are some who don't change their routine unless they reach a point of near death. I cannot handle anymore. The rope is around my neck. Usually it's how people come here and the testimonies they reported. They could have been spared from many problems, but they only come when the rope is about to choke them. And they said, I must attend the love therapy.
You just become idle when you have a routine, because it is a way for you to have control over your life. So you know what will happen every Monday, from Monday to evening, on a Sunday. The routine of your daily life gives you a type of idleness. I know what is going on in my life. I know what will happen tomorrow, on Friday, on Monday, because it is a routine. So whenever you need to come out of your routine, it's like a challenge for you. It is a difficulty because you don't want. Why? Because you take you out of your spirit of idleness. Because you are fine doing that. Even though it's not working as you should, you know how it's going to work.
Because you got used to it.
So the effort that you make for you to change your life,
this will change your life. A lot of things will be sorted with effort. But if you want to solve your problems,
you won't solve them with theory, because you know and you don't do anything. Because whenever you need to make an effort, you say, no, tomorrow I'll do it. So the effort, when you make the effort, it's when you will see the result. It's not what you know, what you need to do. You need to make the effort. It's better for you to sacrifice for you to solve this problem
than for you to sacrifice suffering with this problem.
With your marriage, your children, your health. Anyway.
Yes, if we think on what is really changing, what is the effort that will bring most results, is the one that we don't want to do. For instance, what is the offering that grabs God's attention the most? Is the one that hurt the most. Is the offering that you don't want to give. Is the sacrifice. The Bible calls it a sacrifice. Is the offering that touches the most, because it hurts the most. Was the offering that God gave for us. He gave His Son, the sacrifice, the offering that hurt, that Jesus Himself said, Father, if possible, pass away this cup from me, but let not my will be done, but yours. So He did what was hard, but He did. Is what changed the history of humanity. So the offering that we don't want to give is the one that touches God the most. The forgiveness that we don't want to ask for is the one that heals the marriage. The sick marriage is the day that you don't want to come, that you hear a word that marks and changes your life. Is what you don't want to do. Is what God asks of you, and you say, yes, I will do it. So you put all your effort, you come out of your routine, your comfort, and you do it. With that, you start a new routine. Every new routine has two efforts with it. The effort for you to come out of the old one and to implement the new one. So naturally, this takes time. And the initial process is painful, but after, it doesn't hurt anymore.
It is a break in routine that grabs your partner's attention because you're used to this. You're used to the person always saying things in that way. Then, out of the blue, they speak to you in a different way.
90 minutes, which is the time that usually takes for us to finish the service, 90 minutes once a week is less than 1% on the time that you have 7 days per week. You have 10,080 minutes per week. If you separate only 90 minutes to invest in your love life, is less than 1% of your time. Less than 1%. Look at the impact that less than 1% has in a family, in a marriage, but consistently. I'm faithful in my 1%. I'm faithful in my 1%. When you are tired and thinking, today, it's less than 1% of my time. It's less than 1%. It's the least I can do to show to God that I want and I'm doing my part. It's the 1% that impacts the 100% in your life. If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.